still do it anyways. Okay. Those who are calling in, do you see the screen okay?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And just so you know, we've got you up on a nice screen up here, so you're all visible to the whole group. With that, I think I'll move this camera around, and maybe Ramia will start with you, and just introduce yourself at this stage and kind of how you got looped into the trip. We've got people coming from a few different companies and individual travelers, so kind of starting that context will be great, and we'll get to know the rest a lot more in detail in Peru. So,
I'm Ramia Bowles. I'm with the CHG Healthcare Group. I have been interested in doing some sort of a humanitarian mission for a long time, and just found that I didn't really know a venue and wanted to knock them by myself. So I'm super excited. Our work was partnering with CHOICE, and yeah, I'm super excited.
Awesome. And in what capacity are you at CHG? Have you been
I'm
there
one
for
of
a
the
while?
sales leaders there on our general surgery team. So I lead there's about 25 of us.
Okay, nice.
And there's about 4 leaders for that many people. We have a big group. And we do a lot of this stuff because we have a lot of remote people. So this is awesome. So I'm all familiar with this.
Great. So you hate video conference calls as much as I do.
No, they're awesome. They're so good.
The Zoom is the only one I found that actually works more often.
We use a program called Link. I like it. Oh. Yeah, but it used to be Link. But it works really well.
Yeah, good. Well, we love this. Cool. Ever been to South America or Peru?
No, I've spent a lot of time in Europe. I've been kind of all over the U.S., but never to Asia or South America.
Okay, cool. Great. Ian?
So I'm Ian Grover. Going on this trip with my dad.
Okay, and how did you and your dad end up connecting with us and Choice? And
my sister went on one of these a few years ago.
oh, no. Is this your first time, you and your dad's first time South America, Peru?
First time out of the country.
For you ever?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're a little anxious, a little excited. And what about your dad?
He's been.
Okay.
Yeah. He went with my sister.
All right, but you speak great Spanish, right? No. What? Oh, no. You're good. No, this is exciting. Okay, first timer there. And Randy?
Hi, I'm Randy Cloward, and I'm a tour operator in Cusco, Peru. So I'm not actually part of the expedition, but we'll be taking care of you once you get to Cusco, getting up to Machu Picchu and around in the hotels in Cusco. We do that for several humanitarian groups. I've been living down there doing this for about 3 years. So we know what we're doing.
Yeah, Randy's the man, and we're lucky he is in town till just a few more days, right?
Thursday I go back down. Yeah.
So worked out super cool to invite him here, and he'll add a little context for those who are going to visit Machu Picchu. So super happy to be working with Randy. They've been great.
Hey, I'm Peggy Peterson. I am married to Mike Peterson, he works at CHG and was asked to go on this trip, and I get to go with him. So we're really excited about it.
What a rough ask, right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It was, we thought about it for like 2 seconds before we said yeah. So yeah.
And you were just telling me Mexico is the extent of.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to Europe, but never anywhere south of that. So,
Okay, cool.
Mexico. So yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Awesome. Doug?
My name is Doug Wayment. I'm also with CHG Healthcare. We work in the IT department, leading a support organization for the company. I have not spent time in South America. I spent 2 years in South Africa, but I have not been spending time in South America.
Cool. Well,
So really excited.
Great. Well, I think we'll give the time to those who are on the video here. Who we've got? I think we've got maybe, yeah, Tyra, you can hop on in there. You're still with us.
Okay. Yep. So I'm with CHG Healthcare Services, and my arm was twisted, and I have to go on the trip. I'm with the culture team, and so the culture team at CHG facilitates our humanitarian trips. We recently had a group go to Africa, Kenya. And so this will be our second humanitarian trip that we kind of get to oversee. And so they said, well, somebody from the culture team needs to go on the trip. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll go. So I'm super excited. I have not been to South America. I've been to Europe several times and traveled around there. So this will be a great experience.
Yeah, all right. Okay, and who else have we got on? Let's see here. Oops, Joanne, are you with us? Anyone else can hop on in.
Hi, Tiffany Nightingale. I'm out in Virginia. I got involved with this mission through the company I work for. I'm actually a dentist, and the company's name is Benevis. So they were looking to send a few dentists on 2 of the mission trips. And we had another person that went on a trip to Bolivia, I guess, a couple of weeks ago. And I'll be participating in this upcoming trip. Like I said, I'm a dentist. I have visited South America before. I went to Brazil when I was in high school for a summer. And then I also had the opportunity to do some short-term missions while I was in dental school as a student down in the Dominican Republic. So
okay, great.
I haven't done missions in about 10 years. So I'm really excited because I really love the work and I love giving back, helping out. So
all right, well, welcome. All right, and who else have we got? Joanne? Did we lose you? Emma, we've got...
Oops. Hey, hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. This is Leonard Johnson here. I'm a dentist as well, and I applied through my job at Cool Smiles, with Benevis. So I have never been on a mission trip ever, so this will be my very first time out of the country ever. So I'm excited for it. I've always wanted to do one. A lot of my friends did mission trips in school and have done them recently. So I've just been wanting to do one. So now I'm glad I get the opportunity to do one.
All right. Well, welcome. Okay. And I know we've still got our Joanne working on some audio, I think. I'm seeing an Emily's Fire.
Yeah, that's me. Can you hear me?
We can. We can hear you great.
Are you able to see me?
We can.
Oh, hey. Okay. Hi, I'm Emily.
You look like you were searching for someone. Can you see us?
Well, kind of. You're kind of like this little tiny square at the bottom of my screen. So I'm, trying to talk. But yeah, so I'm really excited. I am with Comp Health in Fort Lauderdale. And I feel like might be the only one in the Florida region, but maybe not. I don't know who else is going. I've been with Comp Health for less than a year, and I'm really excited about this opportunity. I have traveled to Europe and to Thailand, so Asia, but I have not been to South America, been to Mexico. But really looking forward to this, and I'm just glad to be part of a company that, it empowers their employees to do this.
Cool. So, that's great. Welcome. And do we have anyone else that's hopped on the call that I can't quite see here?
Hey, just a quick follow-up. This is Tyra. So Emily said that she works with Comp Health. So Comp Health is yes. One of the companies of CHG. So Emily is a part of the CHG group. So welcome, Emily.
Yeah, and we've got, for context, because there are some folks who aren't here, we've got a group from CHG, and then we've got another 4 individuals from Benevis Dental, which is the dental partner. So we've kind of heard a mix of different companies having folks. And we've got Fred, I take it?
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
Welcome, Fred. Hey, Ian's been here holding down the fort.
He was taking notes for me.
Oh, yeah. He gave us the whole rundown. Well, Fred, we're just wrapping up intros. You want to introduce yourself? And Ian mentioned that your daughter went on a trip to Guatemala, but anything else you want to add in terms of how you got connected to CHOICE? And
I heard about it through one of my friends, Devin Moreno. He lived on Nepal.
Yeah.
And,
No, Devin.
And so we, my daughter and I, thought it'd be great to do a trip to Guatemala. We really had a great time, and then even, you know, I kind of something I do with my kids when they turn 16 is we kind of go somewhere adventurous. And so we wanted to do another Choice Humanitarian. You heard a lot of great things about from already of us, so sounds like it would be a good opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, great. Thanks. It sounds like someone just joined the call here.
Hi, yes. I don't know if you can see me.
Yes. Oh, congratulations. We see you times 2, I think.
I'm sorry?
3D experience. I guess you're on 2 cameras at the same time, which is fantastic.
I don't know how to use this stuff. I'm not very technologically savvy, but I have my iPad and my phone right now, and I'm not sure if I'm doing this correctly. But
I think whatever you're doing, it's working. Okay. So let's go with it. And yeah, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure.
And we'll dive into it.
Okay, cool. My name is Joanne Sagas. I'm calling from Boston, Massachusetts. I'm part of the dental, with some of the dentists that are coming over from Benevis. So yeah, I just thought I'd join in and say hello.
Great. Well, welcome. And first time heading down to South America?
Yes.
Excellent. All right. Well, we've got a lot of first timers here, which will be a great experience.
Cool.
Anyone else on the line that I haven't got to? We've had some people jump in. If that's about everyone, I think what I'd like to do is if you're calling in, just go ahead and mute. And I know, Joanne, you just got yours working, so that must feel really frustrating. Just go ahead and mute your call. I'm gonna pause it a few times to see if you have questions. So I'll definitely open that up, and we will try to not forget about you all. We're gonna, let's see here. We never figure out how to kind of do that here. Let me see if I can. I always struggle to find my camera here. All right. Looks like all 4 it is. Okay. So by means of introduction real quick, I'll let Leah, I think, introduce herself.
I'm Leah. I'm the CEO with Choice. I've been on the team for about 7 years. This is my first trip to Peru, and so I'm excited to be on this trip with you guys.
Yeah, Leah is very humble. She is our Choice's fearless leader, has managed a lot of amazing opportunities and growth for the organization. One of our wildest and funnest expedition leaders, certainly wild and fun to work with. And we're very, very lucky to have Leah coming. She would never say that herself, but we will be laughing and entertained nonstop. I can say that. So. And then myself, many of you interacted with me. So my name's Jordan. I'm the expedition director and also leading this trip along with Leah. Some of you may recall meeting Emily and her husband, Willie. They were initially going to lead this trip. Great duo, but had some family. They both were going to go, and they've got a little one. And so they ultimately had some logistical challenges as it happens. And so I am actually thrilled because this is our second expedition, but our first public expedition to Peru, which we'll talk a little bit about why and how that's worked out. So for me, super excited because I was so bummed just planning the first trip and then this one, knowing I wouldn't be able to go. So this is, for me, I'm happy to be here. So with that, I want to make sure I introduce Choice generally, and also some people that we're going to be spending a lot of time with. So Leah and myself will be your trip leaders, right? And that's started already, and that'll continue on, you know, till when you're on the airport heading back home. But we are part of a much broader team, particularly in Peru. So I put the names, not the names entirely, but the faces, sorry, of the in-country team, because they're all based in Peru, local and native to Peru, the area, and even the regions in which we operate. And they're representative of what Choice is just as an organization. in that in every country we have a team, and it varies from 5 to 12 employees. And you can kind of see there's historical presence in Vietnam and current presence in Nepal. But in all these countries, we have a team like the one you just met, right? And Oscar is the in-country director. You'll get to meet and interact a lot with our team. They will be a big part of our experience. They're doing all the work before and long after we leave. And so how CHOICE operates is in every country, we have an in-country team, and they're working year-round with communities at a very local level on what is CHOICE's approach to development. And so Oscar right now and his team are working with anywhere from 10 to 25 communities, and this is happening in all the countries in which we operate. And first, they're working at the leadership level to teach and train community leadership to leverage their own resources, start to navigate fundraising at a local level, and creating buy-in at the community level. And then they use projects to essentially strengthen that leadership. So CHOICE will actually work hand in hand with community members who will identify their priorities and needs, identify kind of their own timeline to get them done with technical support and resource support from CHOICE and the in-country team. They'll execute projects, and those projects vary in every country, but they range from agricultural projects and education to health infrastructure, to school infrastructure, water systems, and economic development opportunities as well. So there's a lot of different stuff. But that's going on in like 15 to 30 communities in every country. And those are long cycles. Those are kind of 3 to 5 year cycles. Expeditions are a really kind of infrequent and rare chance where visitors like ourselves and partners plug into one of those projects at one phase of it. So kind of what that means is, you see right here, the team is working all this time, long before we'll ever come, with communities who are likely never anticipating or planning on a visit or an expedition. And certain projects time up really well with expeditions, and certain communities are also really eager to take advantage of it. And expeditions, we'll talk about, have a really catalyzing effect to accelerate development and projects in certain instances. So expeditions kind of come in when a community's been working with CHOICE for a very long time and already demonstrated quite a high level of carrying stuff out. And you'll find that it's typically the period for communities where there's a lot of celebration, whether they're at the beginning of working with CHOICE, in the middle, or at the end. For us, we talk about this as kind of a chance to get out, learn new cultures. And for many communities, our visit is kind of their chance to do the same, get out, so to speak, and learn about new cultures. And so we're working a lot, but we'll find that there's quite a bit more aside from just the projects. And anyone who's been, or your daughter, probably remembers some of that. So one thing right now that I will throw out is these are very different than a typical tour or vacation you might go on, right? And that a cruise, you've got a very clear itinerary, and there's quite a lot that you can plan on, right? In expeditions, we have a number of things that we can control, and those are kind of off to the left, right? And those are going to vary by people, right? Your intentions for coming and accommodations and things we kind of have a grasp on, and we know what the hotels are going to look like, and we got a plan, and there's all sorts of great stuff. But what we find is most of that, to within reason, changes and evolves over the experience. And that is really what makes this a very unpredictable and life-changing type of opportunity if our right mindset and kind of collectively the culture that we build as a group is primed for that. And so what that means is right now, this is not like a CYA policy for Lee and I. That stuff's going to go all over the place. But right now, I just want to start planting the seeds of identifying your expectations that you might be bringing into this, kind of checking which ones are on the known side and what sensitivities you might have off to the right, and starting to communicate those very openly to Leah and I, because even though we can't control a lot of stuff, it is our responsibility to make sure everyone's aware of changes as they arise. All right, well, we'll get to him. So making sure that people are kind of prepared for those changes and aware of what those changes look like. For example, including the leadership change, right? I mean, it's a great example of that. And our goal is to make sure we adapt really effectively and safely when they do happen. So I put that out there now because we will hit this principle home. And at the end, we'll talk about some tools to kind of navigate that. Just a quick high-level overview of the itinerary. This will add some context to just what we're going to cover. Individuals will be arriving Saturday. We'll be grouping together. People will be arriving at various points Saturday morning, afternoon into Pura. You'll have some time to kind of rest, reboot. It'll be a long flight. Typically, everyone's going to be doing an overnight in the Lima airport for a few hours or several hours. And those of us who can will meet together as a group. Myself and likely Leah, but for sure the in-country team and myself, we will be in country already. I will actually be in Peru about 10 days before. So we'll be there, which will be great, and I'll be able to kind of send more real-time updates once I am there. But we'll meet you at the airport, get you settled into the hotel right in downtown Pura, and that evening we'll have a little orientation, meet the in-country team, have a dinner to get to know one another in person just a little bit better. Sunday morning, we're going to take off early and head up to the community. It's a long drive with 2 stints. One's really comfortable on a bus and one gets a little bit more rough on some 4-wheel vehicles. And so that'll be broken up in a few stretches. And then we'll settle in Sunday night. And that really looks like a lot of meeting and greeting, sorting out our camp and getting everything will be prepared up there, but sorting out how we want to divide up our sleeping. And we'll kind of talk about that. And really just getting settled. And then Monday to Thursday, we'll be in the community. We'll talk about what that looks like in a little bit here. And then Friday morning, a departure back to Pura in time to kind of settle in, explore a little bit more in Pura, a farewell dinner for us together with the team. Also, some individuals will be heading Saturday morning back to the U.S. And then a little bit later here, we'll talk about, with Randy, the itinerary on this side of things for those who go on to Cusco and the Sacred Valley and stuff like that. So high-level overview of the itinerary. I want to stop real quick here and see if anyone has any questions, and that includes those who are calling in. Any logistical... What about this? How about that? No? I love it. Yeah.
So the town was going to Frias?
So Frias, I will break that down in just a minute. I always am trying to wrap my head around here it's like you live in a country, a state, a county, a city. It gets really granular. And so we'll talk a little bit about how granular it gets. But Frias would be like a larger municipality county type area. And here's kind of an example. So big picture, here's where we're going, way up north here. Looks like we're almost on the beach. We're about 3 hours-ish away from the ocean. So close, but not quite. Because as you'll find, and this is where I'm going to show you a little bit here. So here's Pura, right? So the ocean's right here, right? So Pura is a little bit, and this is where we'll be for about a day and a half total coming and going. It's a little bit more tropical. It's a little bit warmer. The altitudes, we're near sea level. The ocean's really close. So you'll see a really different side of Peru. It's a medium-sized town, which will be really neat because that's also kind of a different feel. Not a lot of people would make their way to Pura on the beaten path. And so we'll spend some time getting to see what kind of a very common larger city in that sense looks like. This is where we'll be heading out. So this gets us close to Frias here. And then from Frias, we'll be heading another 2.5 hours. That's kind of on a little bit more 4-wheel drive, getting up into the mountains. And here our elevation is going to grow quite a bit. We're at about 6,600 feet is where we will be. And so for those who aren't used to a lot of elevation, that's a bit of a climb. And we'll be on and off at about that elevation and higher for those going to Cusco, Machu Picchu for the whole time. So things like working and soccer games all of a sudden start to have an impact. And so that's the area where we're at. So kind of an answer to your question, it'd be Frias, like Piura, Frias, a network called a district essentially called Meseta and Yuna. And then from there, I'll introduce the actual village where we're going. One thing just to note here, you can see this here. I want to emphasize this like 8 times tonight. That's cold if you see the low here. We are 6,600 feet. We are in what is Peru's winter season, which is dry. It's a little bit colder. It's drier, right? So sometimes you wonder why is the prime time to go there? And it's because it's dry. Summer is a very moist season, like high precipitation. So as a result, this is the best time to go, best time to work. Can be a little bit cold. So days look cloudy, some good sun at times, and a lot of fog. And then that one that burns off, it's nice, it's warm. We're looking at 70s, if we're lucky, which is great to work in. And at night, in the morning, it's cold. So we'll definitely and we'll talk more about this, but everyone be prepared for that layers, because sometimes when you think South America, we just inherently feel like Cancun is representative of what we might be experiencing. And it is very diverse. I was just telling Peggy that for those who haven't been to South America, the visit to Peru, including Piura and where we're going, is a very diverse experience for getting to know South America. Geographically and ethnically and culturally, we'll experience quite a lot. And I think it'll shatter and almost redefine your understanding of South America. So one of that is that it can get cold down there. So here, I'm going to just add a little context for the community in the area. So Meseta Andina is a larger district. It's a network of communities, about 22 communities and the sub-communities. Choice has been working there on and off for about 1.5 years. Rangrayo is where we're going, and it's a smaller group. Some communities will have 200 families to 500 families, so 87 families. Choice is working with about 28 of those families. And when we say working with 28, I think you saw me mention that model development, right? Like Choice is a participatory development organization, and so we don't do projects to communities. We work with community members through their leadership structure on activities that they're motivated and excited to put some sweat equity and sometimes real resources into. And so that means that not all community members are actively engaged. Some are, some aren't. It varies in every country. But right now, the project that we'll be focused on will be involved with about 28 families. So there's just a little context for the community. The goal, you heard me talk about, in the left-hand side, there's kind of project goals, right? And on the right-hand side, there's outcomes. And pace and things like that will always vary. Choice in Peru, historically, was primarily a local agricultural organization that strengthened household gardening and agricultural skills for the production of food. So like big home efficient gardens. And nutrition is a real challenge in the Altiplano. And Choice merged with essentially that Peru team about 1.5 years ago. It used to be called Feed the World. And so they've begun to adopt some other appropriate technologies kind of from an infrastructure base over the last 1.5 years. And one of those is an efficient technology oriented around wood burning stoves. So typically open fire cooking in a home. And that's a huge problem for 2 reasons. One, you can imagine what it does to your eyes, to your respiratory system. obviously primarily for women and children who are in the kitchen 3 meals a day, 80% of your day over an open fire, has really dramatic consequences. And 2, it's really inefficient. It's very inefficient use of wood, and wood costs money, and securing that has impact for sure. And so this is in a number of countries we work in, essentially converting that process to an efficient wood burning stove solves a number of problems. And that's what we'll be working on from an infrastructure project. We'll also be supporting some local garden plots as well in the prep and training for that. And then we will also be supporting a local dental clinic. As you've heard, we've got some dentists, so we're working with them and also the Peru team. We won't get into too much of that in detail, but that'll be going on, and there will be some opportunities to support that. So a lot of activity to go on. Any questions around village or project? Excellent. I'm going to move along. Just wanted to throw this up here just to add some context. These are photos from the area, photos from the community. As you can see, it's hilly, it's arid. We will meet her. I believe her name is Anna. They had shared a little note here. She's a single mother, thrives entirely off of subsistence farming. Has been working with CHOICE for about 1.5 years, essentially on learning and growing and scaling quite a bit. And so she does that and supports quite a big family. So, so this is the view. It's a beautiful area. And here's just a snapshot of some of the inputs that project work can look like around stove construction. There's a process that goes in for putting in the foundation, which can be cumbersome and a little tedious. Will be broken up into teams, smaller teams of 4 to 5, working with some technical support on the CHOICE team and on the community side. There's cement mixing, there's hauling, and all that in between. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Leah here to just kind of walk us through nuts and bolts of living together for 5 days and kind of what that looks like.
It starts with, we do 3 meals a day. We do breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and kind of family style. And we have our own kitchen set up. And so we can stand by the food and the water and everything that comes out of our kitchen. We would encourage you to probably not accept food from the villagers if they offer it, which at times they can do that. I would just say, I'm full, not now. Not sure what Jordan's saying about that, but we can't stand by their food. We're not sure what their food would look like.
Yeah, we usually do. Our in-country teams are really good about helping prepare community members for general expectations across the board.
But they're hospitable. It's in their nature to be hospitable, and so they want to offer you. So I would stick to our food. Then when the time's appropriate, sometimes in the morning, sometimes in the evening, have conversations about the experience that we're having and trying to unpack some of the experiences and share some of the experiences other people are having. And so in the food, at times, since I haven't been to Peru, but in other countries, they try to do a mixture of ethnic food, and sometimes they'll throw in spaghetti or something for us if they see we're suffering tremendously. They'll do something kind of Americanized. Our living conditions, this is a perfect example of what our living conditions look like. If I'm you, I'm bringing an air mattress, and I am bringing an air mattress because I have a bad back. And so we will all just kind of line up on the floor of this cultural center here, this multicultural center, and you just pick a little corner, make it yours. And again, because of the weather conditions, in addition to the air mattress, I would bring a super warm sleeping bag, a liner inside of it, long johns if you're the kind of person who gets cold easily. The worst thing you can be is cold at night, day after day. And then working during the day, it can start wearing on you. And so these are living conditions.
Yeah, and the photos off to the left that's the photo of the community center that we'll actually be staying in. And so
I hear it has flushing toilets. That's a rare gift
Yep.
It sounds like it has showers, but the showers are cold. If you're the kind of person like me, sometimes it's hard for me to go day after day without a shower. You might consider bringing a solar shower because you can hang those during the day. They will get warm, and then you can take it to the shower and at least do a rinse or offer. It's really hard for me to sleep at night if I'm all sticky, and if not, I also bring, 20 pounds of the biggest, most luxurious wipes I can possibly find at any given store that I go to.
And if you're like me, you just don't shower.
At all.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Everyone, right
So
out there.
know where you're going to put your mattress. Hint, hint. By him or by me?
And one thing we do is, so when we get in Sunday night, part of it will be, we'll get in and we'll kind of divide up. And so we'll go through like an in-camp orientation that first night. Once everyone has context for, okay, here's the bathroom and here's where we're eating. And so we'll kind of walk through that and make that process of settling in pretty comfortable.
And then during the day, after we have breakfast, we typically join the community. We start working together. Then we come back and have lunch. And we don't typically eat with the community. So they might bring their lunches if they're coming from far away, or they might skip lunch, or we don't know. But we kind of split off for the meals. And then in the afternoon, you can continue to work, but sometimes naturally it evolves into some sports. The village might, threaten us to a championship of soccer that we cannot resist. And so it might, naturally evolve into some cultural interaction. What I would say about this is this project is going to end with or without us. They're going to complete this project. So it's not about getting up and working 12 hours a day, for the 5 days and missing the whole experience of getting to know the people and their culture. And so what I would encourage you to do, and I love this picture here, this was one of my expeditions to Guatemala, is seeing the kids, interacting with the kids, playing games, and doing other things, and working. It's not like the kids don't work. It's not like the grown-ups don't work. But it's really not about going there and finishing every single stove. And if we don't do it, it's not a successful trip. It's not about the project. It's about the project, and it's about the people. It's about both. And then, of course, it's really through the opportunity that you give yourself to interact with the community that you can learn from them. And so I have a new granddaughter, and I don't have a lot of toys in my house for grandkids. And so yesterday I had an unexpected babysitting job, and she's getting older. She's 8 months old. So I took out all of my expedition toys. So and I'll tell you, if you want to be hip, I know what to bring. So I have a jump rope that lights up in the dark when it moves, which my granddaughter went crazy over, right? And so Frisbees that light up at night. I mean, usually they haven't seen things like this. These are things that, again, promote interaction. It's not for you to give to the kids, for the kids to take off and own a Frisbee. It's for us to play, and we gather the Frisbee. Other things that invite amazing participation is you will be very hip if you bring nail polish. And you will have girls lined up and boys lined up all day long because they want to have their nails done. So in my kit, I have art supplies. I have some fun games like the one that you put on your foot and you kind of you skip around. I don't even know what it's called in English. Jump rope.
I think that was around like 20 years ago.
Yeah, and this lights up in the dark. This lights up in the dark. That wasn't
around.
They
still sell those,
20 years ago.
But yeah.
Cards. They love playing cards. I have some really fun brain teasers that are very hard, and the kids really love brain teasers also. And so I just have what I call my expedition kit, and what I bring. And when I go home, I typically bring all of my things home with me. You guys have the opportunity that at the end of the trip, we can talk about if you would like to donate it to the school or the education committee or something where the entire community can then participate as a whole. We don't want to create any kind of disruption, until I really didn't understand this well until my son went and lived in Nepal with Choice for 6 months. And he shared with me one day, I said, what's the big deal? So what if I hand him a little Frisbee? And he said, well, somebody came to the village and saw that this guy was walking 2 hours each way to go to work. For $50, you could get him a brand new bike. And I mean, what's that to us? Nothing. So the guy goes off, buys him the bike, and we leave, and then the kid gets beat up, and they take the bike, and there's all sorts of problems because it's the lollipop rule. You don't have for every single person, then don't open it up for anybody. And so we would encourage you guys to just find ways to interact with the community, and then bring your things back, and then you can play some more with them the next day, and we can figure out in the end how to, you know, whatever your wishes are, we can figure out how to make that happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's really well said. Just to add, you know, some other recommendations that we do is, when Leah in a minute will talk about gifting and kind of our very firm policy, which you hit home with, no individual gift giving. But I would encourage you all, and it is nice to, if you bring some of those items, if you can, bring a few things that you do want to leave with the school. And she mentioned some great ones, common things as well. They're listed in the materials you've been sent, but common things that are great to leave as well. Soccer balls, sports equipment, stuff like that. Always, if possible, with the tools required to keep that functioning, like if it's a soccer ball, a pump, etc.
The needle.
And how that's dealt with is, while we're in the community, those can be played with and, as Leah mentioned, used to kind of open up conversations and play. Bubbles, for example, are also really fun and easy and affordable. But it's important while we are during the day, it's like we gather them up before we go back to lunch and play, get out a Frisbee if we got some downtime, but grab it up again. And then at the end of the expedition, we will gather any of those community items and leave those kind of in a transparent way with, usually as part of the farewell, the Choice in-country team will give those to community leadership or school committee so that they're managed just like any other resource would be. And that really manages that well. So
this can be painful because the nail polish can walk off. So can the Frisbee, so can the ball. So I would encourage you guys to not turn a blind eye and say, well, it's just a ball, you know, when you know that somebody walked off with it. We'd rather find the ball, bring it back, and have all of our things together so that we can continue. The culture that we've established is the most difficult thing for us to continue and build on. And so we don't want our expedition program to be a detriment to a year and a half worth of work. And then we're coming in and, you know, we start doing things that just don't promote self-sustainable behaviors for the long term. And
the other thing is, yeah, as you mentioned, our in-country teams have worked hard with communities. Don't expect handouts. They are not, they are the owners and the managers of these projects. And so that's also not a paradigm we are interested to disrupt. That's the way it should be. And it's really important that we respect that and not alter that.
And then celebrating, I mean, I haven't been to Peru again, but usually they love, you know, they love culture, music, dancing, singing. So it's not uncommon for us to be received with a welcoming ceremony, to be sent off with a farewell ceremony. Even in the middle of the week, they might want to come. If it's Nepal, they like to stay till midnight singing and dancing, and you're like, oh. But it's still a great part of what we do together with the communities, and it's really fun. It's fun for them. It's fun for us.
Be definitely prepared for dancing.
Yeah.
Just gonna say.
Yeah.
A lot
They're
of
not
dancing.
gonna let you off the hook.
So because we've got Randy here, I do just want to take a minute, Randy, and I don't know if you want to take 5 minutes and maybe just kind of walk people through a couple of the key things that they might want on their radar now. I mean, they've got some materials, but just, kind of talking through those 3 days.
Yeah, they have to. So you'll be arriving in Cusco, and I think the first day we will take a tour. There's 3 major tours in Cusco, besides including Machu Picchu. The first tour is Cusco City, which is one of the oldest colonial cities in the world, and it dates back to about the year 1200 when the Incas inhabited this area and created the Inca Empire, which then extended out of the North to Chile. So Cusco City is kind of a collection of the ancient, because you see the structures in the city, outside of the city, there are ruins that you've all probably seen the car-sized stones that they put together. You can't fit a blade between them. And talk about that culture, as well as the colonial. which was then the Spanish, which then toppled a lot of the Inca Empire and built their structures on top of it, and even modern. Okay, we have Starbucks, McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken. You see kind of the juxtaposition of these three Africas all in one square that dates back to that corner. That's the main plaza in Cusco that dates all the way back to Inca times. Spanish conquistadors arrived. They arrived in this plaza, which was then surrounded by the temples of the Inca rulers, who then were toppled, and they built their colonial cathedrals on top. Second day, we'll take you to the Sacred Valley. The Sacred Valley is from Cusco's at really high elevations, about 11,200 feet. So we'll kind of take it easy the first day, and we'll talk to you about what you can eat. You know, you don't want to overdo it on eating. You want to start drinking water as soon as you leave Peru, and you're going through Lima. It's the water you drink before you get to Cusco that will help you acclimate to altitude once you get there. And then once you get there, try and drink a full bottle in the first hour. Then we'll go to the Sacred Valley, which is a lower elevation, down around 9,000 feet, which was the breadbasket of the Inca Empire. And it's where there are some other ones, the Incas inhabited it to grow their traditional crops of corn, wheat, a lot of quinoa, and some other roots, the yucca roots. And so that was where they grew their products, and they dominated that valley. The spectacular beauty, which is in the backdrop, you see the rolling mountains, and the peaks that go up to as high as 3,000 feet. From there, from the Sacred Valley, we take the train up to Machu Picchu village, also known as Aguas Calientes. In the left-hand corner there, that's a little village. It's a town at the foot of Machu Picchu Mountain. And actually, you go down from the Sacred Valley into Aguas Calientes and Machu Picchu, because typically people think of going up to Machu Picchu because of the mountain and the majestic scenery behind it, but it's actually going down into the cloud forest. So you're descending to almost what they call cloud forest, which is semi-jungle. So you're descending into a lower elevation and totally different climate. Semi-jungle, tropical flowers, and fun. The next day,
still a high elevation,
Changing
though,
my
right?
mind. I told you I was going to change my mind.
It's still a high elevation, right? Like still like
8,000
8,000.
Yeah, so that's sea level. So you'll take a bus the next morning. You'll spend the night in Aguas Calientes in a hotel with hot water and clean beds and showers. So this will be luxury after the days in Frias. You'll take a bus up to the Citadel, and you'll have a 2.5-hour tour in the morning of Machu Picchu. And there's some optional hikes and some routes you can do there. Hike up to Tango, which is where the Inca Trail enters Machu Picchu. And various activities you can do up there before taking the train or the bus back down to Aguas Calientes and the train back to Cusco for last night. So it's a pretty good time, but it's a pretty aggressive schedule. So, like I said, the most important thing you can do is start drinking water when you leave Piura, in the hotel or and as much water as you can. And we also encourage you to drink the local coca tea, which is made from the coca leaf, which are the base of cocaine, but they're actually non-narcotic.
Little footnote.
Yeah, a little footnote. If you're being drug tested at work, it might be a good idea to avoid it. This is a special case. We tell people.
To be honest, it is the most effective and quickest remedy for altitude sickness. Like more than Diamox, which is likely something you'll get if you visit a travel clinic before. But any other, so for those who are coming, some just administrative things I'll emphasize. If you haven't already, confirm to me if that is your plan. And we do need a copy. In general, everyone needs to submit a copy of their passport, but we are at the time frame now where we need that right now because it is required. A photocopy of your passport is required for some of the reservations that have been made on the trains and hotels for final confirmation.
Yeah, just snap a copy with
Yep. and just
Send it to Jordan
get that to
Airport
me
afterwards.
and confirm to me. Our window to really lock this down is in the next few days, if that is still your plan. Some are on the fence or haven't fully committed whether or not they're going to do that. But we'll need to know that soon. And for those who aren't coming, don't worry. It's not going to be that cool.
Somebody was telling me
Like, I wouldn't stress it.
the valley, there's some lines. Do we drive by those at all?
No, those are
They're a
on the
different
close
area.
to the south.
Okay.
Are you, the Nazca lines?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not
Somebody
part
was
of the
telling me
film.
that was in the area, but I don't know.
No,
Unfortunately,
in
what
the
that
last
means.
Indiana Jones movie,
Oh.
they have him flying over the Nazca line. So, the accuracy of
The crystal alien skull is at the top of Machu Picchu. So,
Just
oh,
good.
when you come
Be
in
a
the
separate
country, when you first
excursion.
enter from the USA, you'll get a white card that you have to have passport information thing and so on. And they'll give you a two-part form that part into them. Hang on.
Please, people have forgotten that in the past and threw them away.
they do, and then there's costs incurred at hotels and things like that.
Yes.
So you just don't want to lose it. If you do, it's not an obscene cost, like maybe $10, but still. Right?
The other thing is don't lose your passport.
Yes.
Yes.
They show you in which way you first go much you don't want to check it away. Going to get training, looking into the hotel. So you kind of have a strategy in your passport and single passport. Losing your passport is common.
Yeah.
It is. Well, that was great. Thank you, Randy. And Randy's going to be there with us, which is awesome too. So we'll reconvene in Cusco. I just want to end. We're going to end on a few things. We're just getting about 7 here. I guess. Let me see if someone's got a question. Let me pause for a minute. Yeah. Oh, great. Good question. We're going to cover that in a minute, but since you brought it up, we're going to wrap up with some packing questions to just let that go as long as it needs to. But you don't require a backpacking backpack. It's not required, so I don't want you to feel like you need to go get one. We will be moving quite a bit. We're never going to be walking our stuff a long distance into a hotel or even the community. We'll be kind of loading from airport to car, car to hotel, hotel to car to truck. So that we'll just be moving it a lot. So as a result of that, and you'll be getting in and out of it a lot. And in the community, you'll be living out of it. So my recommendation is bring something that's easy to get in and out of and that's easy to haul where you're not going to worry if a wheel is going to get broken or something like that. So that can be a backpack, and that works for a lot of people. It can also be just a big duffel bag that's just loaded up with a bunch of compartmentalized, packing pouches to get in and out of. And those can also be duffels can be a little bit easier to get in and out of than like a backpacking backpack, because it's like, oh, shoot, where's my hat? It's at the bottom of everything. Hold on while I extract my whole life.
Unless you're Joe Camper, I say duffel it.
And a duffel, if you're looking, one that I have, because I, taken so many over the years, and I've landed on my sweet spot. And North Face, Patagonia, they all both, and there's some other ones too. They make a duffel that's a really durable, waterproof material that has straps on it. They're not meant to backpack, but they're definitely comfortable enough to haul around in an airport and everywhere you need to get to. And they make various sizes. So
I was just going to say, I found a place where the shops there right now. It's a really big duffel bag. It's regular like $80, but they had it with their thing for like $40 right now. It does have rollers, but it has the strap and it has the handle.
Yeah, that sounds great.
So it has a combo. I bought one of them, and it's pretty big.
Sometimes most people bring one big bag. Do they bring a bag and a backpack?
I bring, again, I'm not an exemplary because I don't bring a lot of stuff, but
because he doesn't shower.
Then I'll shower. That eliminates. And I'll share another recommendation about working clothes in a minute. which is only bring one pair. And I bring a duffel with like kind of all my stuff, and then I load up like a backpack for a flight that's kind of big with a lot of excess stuff. For those who are going to stay on and travel, right, like there may be a window to do some laundry in Piura. That is not guaranteed, and so I would not plan on that, which means you may need to bring a little bit more, because it's fine if we're in muddy working clothes, we're up in the community, we're working, less so when we're on a train up into, you just might be more comfortable.
I like the backpack also because during the day, sometimes you might go off to a family's home to do the stoves, and you want to bring a bottle of water, you want to bring sunscreen, you want to bring your hat, your sunglasses, your day stuff, because you're going to stay there till noon, and then you'll walk back or whatever. And so sometimes it's nice to just have the day packed, or even just, I like having a plastic bag, even if it's a shoulder bag. And I like it to be plastic because that's a bag that I can put in the shower. So my dry clothes can be in there, my towel, and then whatever. And it's plastic and it's small, right? And then that's just my day bag during the day. And then I've got my duffel with my other stuff.
Typically, though, most people get by with like a big duffel and like a backpack. And if you have any questions, there on Facebook, there's a great video that Emily put together about she's led 20 or 30 expeditions, kind of on her go-to stuff as well. So if you haven't gone on the Facebook page, take a few minutes and watch that, and I think you'll get a lot of.
It's really cool. It's all about what to pack and how to pack it.
Yeah.
For this trip, she put this together.
So I think you'll get a lot of little tips on like, oh, okay, this is what might work for me. So, and we'll pick up some packing stuff in a minute. Just like I shared the kind of framework of what we can and can't expect and kind of getting us into the mindset, I also want to throw this out now. We'll try and reiterate it, when we're on the trip. But CHOICE has been around for now over 30 years, and expeditions have been a part of our approach to development for a long time. And so we've just learned a lot about what helps people navigate the fact that this is not your average trip abroad, right? And it doesn't mean that people have awful experiences or great experiences if they apply this thing, but it just means I see some commonalities in people that are both fun to travel with and that have a lot of fun regardless of the circumstances. And so the first one is flexibility. I've already talked about that. Our goal is to help you all understand the changes. Your goal is how to process those changes. And so being flexible is something I'll throw out right now. And it's a work in progress. Don't be frustrated with the changes that you can. You can certainly be frustrated by all means. And our job is to work to try and make any little changes, things that we have navigable for the whole group, right? And so flexibility is one. And with that, a sense of humor. Expeditions to date are the single-handedly funnest and funniest times I spend with people in a week ever. And regardless of where we all come from, the relationships, the humor, and the experiences shared to most degrees come from the fact that we have to be flexible. Something's gone wrong. It's now become really entertaining. And we go with the flow on that. And so sense of humor is key. So bring it or be prepared for it, because it's at least how we roll. And the third one is more useful right when we're in the community, but I throw it out now. And I think of it as mindfulness, which is being aware of a few things. First, of how you're doing physically and emotionally and psychologically, but particularly physically. Cue in to just how you're feeling. I know we're going there to work, but it's really important to sense into just like, am I tired? How's the altitude? Am I drinking enough? And it is okay to take rests and to start thinking about that. And even now, just do you have concerns you haven't expressed? Or are there questions you don't feel like have been answered? And just cue in to like, am I gearing up and how do I feel about it? and communicate that to us or anyone that you feel comfortable with, but really be self-aware. Second is everyone put on the hat to be aware of those around you. It's easier, obviously, for a father and a son to pay attention to another, maybe close coworkers. It's less easy for those of us who've shown up from different places to put on that hat of like, have they been drinking enough? How are they? Are they look like they're struggling to connect, or they're feeling uncomfortable, or they're overworked or underworked? Just be aware. Lend a hand to intervene however you can, or reach out to Lee and myself or the in-country team if you think anything would be beneficial for us to know. That's so helpful. We do our best, but once we get into the community, we break out quite a lot, and it is really essential that you're all doing that. And then finally, is CHOICE has worked really hard to build trust and partnership with communities, and so we represent CHOICE, so being very mindful about our behavior in the community. And that includes the rules and things like that. And, I would say for those who are coming from their companies too, is you represent an investment from your companies and a commitment there, and the culture and the relationship of moving forward. And so, and all of us represent the United States in this instance. And I think that's important always to remember. U.S. travelers don't always have the best stereotype or certainly impression left abroad, and this is an amazing chance for us to give people a taste of our culture and our approach, and it's beautiful to see a lot of times those stereotypes change. So those are the things I'll throw out now, and Leah talked about no gifts, but she'll hit home too their kind of critical rules of choice.
And this is hard for me even, because you're going to see a lot of need, and it's just, to leave a little blanket behind or something would be easy. But so we talked about no gifts. I'm going to say that I don't know how many trips I've been on. I haven't been keeping track, but I feel like the trips that have been where everybody walks away with a really meaningful experience, I feel, are the trips that really where we are bound by our humanity during this week, where we are serving together as human beings with other human beings. And so when we start talking about things like religion and politics and other things like that, those are the things that tend to divide us. They're not the things that really bring us together during that week. And so I would encourage all of us to pay attention to no proselytizing. We would never want communities to think that they need to be a certain way other than very motivated for them to be able to work with CHOICE Humanitarian. We're not a religiously affiliated organization because we want to be uniting and we want to bring all sorts of people together. Our goal is really to expose the first world, people from the first world, to what's happening in the third world so that we can better understand what's happening in the world. And then no promises. Super hard. Oh, I'm going to send you a package. I'm going to scholarship your kids to go to school. That's the biggest one. I want to scholarship your kids to go to school, and I will send you a check when I get home. And anything that you hope to promise the community, let's talk. Because we can probably realize that promise. But it shouldn't be between you and a community member. We have a scholarship program, and we would be glad to look at the child that you're looking at if you want to send the funds to CHOICE Humanitarian United States so that we can scholarship the children. Our in-country staff will vet them. They'll see if they qualify. They'll monitor that, and we will do it all in a way that is sustainable, and your ideas of how to help people can be realized in a really productive way. But if we can stick to these rules, even a Tootsie Roll, you pull out a Tootsie Roll and you hand it to a kid or to 7 kids or to 700 kids, and you've just changed the dynamic. The next day you get up and they're like, what are you giving me today? And then by day 5, you're not going to be having the feeling that we're telling you can have, because we've set a bad precedent. And now they're like the cat you fed, and they come back for more and more. And that's not the experience I want to have. And I know that's not the experience that you want to have. And so talk to us. If you have a burning desire to do any of these things, let's talk and let's figure out, is there a good way to do it?
Any questions on this? Okay. So packing list. I've thrown this up here. This is in the appendix that you were emailed. So you've got all these resources. So we're definitely not going to walk through this item by item. I'm going to trust that you can watch video on Facebook, review some of this. But I do throw it up. So if anything kind of comes out as a question or anything on your mind, we've talked about luggage.
Air mattress, wipes, earplugs, PM if you're not a good sleeper. It's noisy. I'm imagining all these guys snoring and all of us not sleeping.
Yeah.
Or the girl snoring.
We're the snorers. Just gonna say it. You've been on a lot of expeditions. You're not counting anymore. So have a lot of other people with you.
I don't hear myself at night snore.
We all do it. Yeah. So there will be the main room is actually cement. There's a secondary room that we, based off of space, we kind of feel out. We may go into. Half of that's covered in cement. The rest we'll use with tarp. So the cement, it's unlikely that we would put down a tarp on that. But I recommend, your air mattress. I bring, because you do have to carry, I bring just a Thermarest like air camping air mattress. And
that's a placemat. No. Air mattress.
Sometimes, people bring
that's me.
More aggressive air mattresses than others.
$15 air mattress from Target. Love it.
Hey, I actually had a question for you. With the shower situation, I think the solar shower was mentioned. I'm not familiar with that. What exactly is it and where could you buy it?
It's a plastic bag, basically, that you hang on a tree in the sun so that it'll warm up the water. And it has a little shower spigot. And then you can take it to the actual shower and, and then use that water. You can buy it online on Amazon. I think they're like 10 or 12 bucks. They're pretty cheap or what, at any camping store?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. You can expect typically, a nice, lukewarm.
Right. Yeah. Or just something.
But it is something for sure.
You can rinse off. You can get clean.
I'm happy with a bucket.
Yeah. And then another question. So, do you recommend a hydration pack as well, or do you think just a water bottle is plenty, or both?
Hydration pack.
Yeah, like a camelback.
Oh, sure. That you can do that if you have a backpack that can combine your water and that. Go for it. It is particularly for longer days. If we're not going to be too far from kind of our center of gravity, which is our sleeping space, where we'll have stuff, the kitchen, where we'll have stuff stored. I definitely recommend bringing a water bottle or two as backup. We will have water, potable water, and kind of gallons there to drink. So we don't want to use a lot of cups and things like that. So using your bottle is great for that. If you've got a backpack combo thing, it certainly wouldn't hurt.
Okay.
Garbage. Taking everything.
Yep.
We have and assuming a lot of wet wipes.
Yeah, I mean we'll have garbage and that'll all be collected and dealt with. So no, all the camp infrastructure around cooking, eating, sleeping, etc. Our in-country team will have in place. Have kind of got up there beforehand. Toilet paper, things like that. That said, wipes aren't always available. I just always bring. I think everyone should just bring like a small little arsenal of wipes. Yeah, question?
Yes. Is it safe enough to bring an iPad, do you think, or should we leave that at home? Electronics.
I guess my question would be, what would your primary use for the iPad be?
Just to document, what we're doing and
photos and stuff like that.
Sort of thing, yeah. Yeah,
so yes, it's certainly safe enough. I'll talk a little bit about technology. Sometimes we talk about this a little bit more in community. I'll share two thoughts on this. First, cameras and digital cameras, and whether it's on an iPad, a phone, or whatever, just the idea of cameras and things like that. It's safe to bring them. We will be in a separate kind of community space that's kind of watched and locked, and we do that not honestly so that things can get stolen, but so that when we lose stuff, we don't think it's stolen is typically right. The community is,
and for your peace of mind, like your stuff is locked up.
Peace of mind. It eliminates the situation. I can't even recall, to be honest, instances where things are stolen, right? They're typically lost, and it's usually some kid who brings it back. So that said, things are safe. However, I do recommend, like, anything new, right? A shiny Frisbee is a huge attraction. So the more that you have technology and things out and stuff like that, just the more interest there will be, which isn't a bad thing. And cameras can be really fun. A lot of kids have not, I guess increasingly smartphones and technology is spreading, and that is a good thing, right? So some people are a little bit more familiar with photos and stuff, but it's always fun and enjoyable. To Leah's point, it facilitates interaction to take photos and share photos. An iPad would be great for that. You can see it. You just be prepared for lots of little kids and fingers to be exploring all around that. There will be electricity. It's 220 volts. And so having a converter is necessary. A lot of times your additional chargers will have that baked kind of into it. Randy, the plugs, this.
Yeah, most of the plugs are.
Yep.
No. But not someplace.
Yep.
On laptops.
Yeah.
Hair dryers.
Yeah. So yeah, you can definitely use it. There will be opportunities to charge it. And the other thing I throw out with cell phones is this is one of those rare windows in one's life, particularly this day and age, where, historically we used to have the advantage, I think it's an advantage, of, oh my gosh, no cell reception at any point, right? And now it's increasingly over the last 5 years proliferated to extremely rural areas. And I think that's a good thing for communities and connection, et cetera. It does create a real challenge, and not a challenge, it creates, it sometimes robs us of an opportunity that used to exist. And that opportunity used to be that we were so by force disconnected that we had no choice but to be extremely present with one another, the community, and even just our own kind of thoughts and opportunities that present themselves. And so CHOICE has no policy on, even if you have cell reception or sort of like everyone can do what they want. But I do have, a personal observation that I find it's easier for people to really take as much out of the experience as possible, the more that they are able to detach from that. And so safety and family and staying connected is important by all means. People will have our contact, and our in-country team will have contact to anyone that we need. And so there are for sure lines of communication. But that's just something hey, no problem. Thank you so much. I always just throw out, right? And that's, and phones are our photos anyways. And so we're using them a ton and things like that. But so I'm not sure whether or not what the coverage or access will look like once we get into Meseta Andina. I think Frias and up there'll probably be something, but I'll just throw that out for your consideration. Any other questions packing wise? Cool. Otherwise, again, in your appendix, I hope the Peru packet you've reviewed, there are no visa requirements, but and there are no vaccination requirements, but there are some strong recommendations. If you haven't already, we recommend that you visit your travel clinic, particularly if you've never traveled to South America or anywhere off the beaten path. They will get you up to speed on the strongly recommended vaccinations. Those include things like your tetanus, your Hep A and B's, and can be typhoid as well. So
the CDC has a website.
Yeah, and we've got that in your packet, and so have a look at it. So you don't. You don't. Yes, I mean you don't. So the way I say it is there are no required vaccinations, but there are some that I think are, can be beneficial. So it's your discretion, and visiting a travel clinic is the best way to do that. And by visiting a travel clinic, they are also able to give you some of the typical prescriptions that you might want. For your normal doctor could do that as well, but the typical prescriptions that you might want to bring in. Everyone's responsible to come prepared, even though we do have some medical resources as part of the expedition and a lot of first aid equipment and things like that. We still request that people come prepared to, hey, if I need to take Cipro for diarrhea, or I'm coming down with something and I want to nip it in the bud and I'm going to take a strong focused antibiotic, that you come prepared for that, and visiting a clinic is the best way to do that. All right. Well, any other questions?
I've got a couple of final comments about money. So when you bring cash, sometimes in these countries, they want really brand new dollars. Yep. They don't like old dollars. They don't like, especially, I wouldn't bring anything above $20 bills. And I would try to get the newest dollar bills that you can bring. One of the things that Jordan and I were talking about is I have learned, I bring a couple $100 in cash with me and in dollars. And then I get money out of the ATM machine when I get there. I get there, whatever their money is. And that's your best exchange rate. And then you know that the money that they're giving you there from the ATM is going to be good. Make sure you tell your bank that you're traveling so that all of your credit cards work. For me, I've had challenges before. And these tend to be things that we could easily forget, to let our bank know that you're going to be traveling internationally and all the places in between here and there, so that your credit cards will work everywhere.
Yeah, and I would only bring 20.
Yep.
1s and 5s.
So 1s and 5s, did you guys hear that? They won't take that, so 20s.
Yeah, bring 20.
Yeah.
Make sure that there's no tears.
Yeah, they look at them. If it's even wrinkly, they want brand new.
If you can, above 2006, there seems to be a number of countries kind of have this, and it's not, but they sometimes have a very strong opinion about 2006 and up. So, but again, yeah, I think a couple $100 cash, you shouldn't need to even exchange that. Just tucked away in a separate place as backup, and you should an ATM upon arrival in the Lima airport. You'll have plenty of time. Also, upon arrival in Piura, you'll have plenty of time and opportunity to, and in Cusco, etc. So ATM is your and you shouldn't need more than a couple $100 at any point, because again, food, transport, up until a couple meals and souvenirs in Cusco area, you aren't going to need a lot of cash.
Anywhere there's tourists.
Cusco.
Not up in.
What did you say, Pippa? Okay.
Cusco and I'm not. Why would I had one person get a problem? Always be careful.
Yeah.
Guard your stuff is what they're talking about.
Communities.
Can you repeat that? We can't hear it. There's an echo.
Yeah, sorry. So one of the questions was about security concerns, pickpocketing, etc. And that's really only a concern, Lima, Cusco, Machu Picchu, high traffic tourist areas. Very, very, I have no incidents of recollection off the beaten path in one of our communities of pickpocketing or anything like that.
So wearing a necklace with a 3-carat diamond thing that somebody could just yank off pretty easy is not, I would say maybe a bag that can come around that's just tightly tied to you, zipped up with your belongings inside, you're going to be fine.
Well, awesome. If you haven't already, join the Facebook page. If you need an invite or anything like that, let me know. That's a great place to ask questions, just because everyone else can benefit from the answers as well. And so feel free to kind of connect, ask questions in there. It's not with our altitude. We will minus Piura for like a hint. We will be at an altitude above the threshold of any actual concern, and even in the lower areas at Peru where we won't be, there's very, very few cases.
So he was asking about Zika. No Zika.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think with that, we'll kind of wrap up officially here. Thanks, everyone, for your time, and we will be in touch through both email and probably doing some calls, a week to 2 weeks out, just touching base with you guys on an individual level to see if you have any more specific questions. And you can always Lee or I, and, we're available.
And this is recorded so that if they want to go back and listen to it or catch some of the, the points again, or anybody else who might have missed it, they can also.
Thank you for restoring my hope that people watch our recorded orientations. I just needed a little bit of okay, well, so great to meet all of you fine dentists calling in and those calling in elsewhere, and we look forward to meeting you guys in person in Piura.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much. Bye.